Every catastrophe begins quietly, like a calm sea hiding a storm beneath.
And they're seeing these big negative numbers and their confidence
The
gets
equities,
affected.
they are ping-ponging back off each other, and Jim Cramer is spot on. If you are a retail investor, don't touch the...
We have not seen a day like this. People are seeing this, and those memories of fear are coming back.
Here, Aaron, and they're saying, when I asked them what the heck is going on down here,
all of a sudden here, we started hearing screaming, buy orders. Steve, what was...
It was an ordinary Tuesday morning in New York City. Across the financial district, trading floors operated at full capacity as 9:30 a.m. arrived. Tickers scrolled continuously, numbers updated across thousands of screens. Traders sat with their coffee, monitoring the global markets through their terminals. The day looked like any other, then something went wrong. Past noon, irregularities appeared in the data, small at first, then impossible to ignore. Screens turned red across every trading floor. Traders stopped what they were doing and stared as the numbers plummeted. The markets weren't just declining. They were crashing faster than anyone had seen before. This wasn't on anyone's to-do list, and no one saw what was coming for them. Then, without explanation, it stopped. The numbers reversed direction and shot back up, recovering the losses in minutes. Nothing about it made sense. 60 minutes. That's how long it took for trillions of dollars to disappear and return, leaving traders struggling to understand what they had witnessed. When it was over, everyone wanted answers to the same question. Was this a system error, or had someone deliberately manipulated the entire market? Who caused the collapse that brought the markets to a standstill? How did a single day become a story that reached every corner of the financial world? And what does a lone trader working from home have to do with any of this? Before we get there, ask yourself this. What if the markets start behaving like a crowd in a panic, with everyone fighting to get through the same door at once? And if you want more stories about money, technology, and the chaos they create, like and subscribe. It helps us keep digging into these cases. Thanks. Now back to what happened that day. This was May 6th, 2010, the day that became known as the flash crash. Within minutes, prices moved in ways that couldn't be explained, and logic seemed to vanish entirely. Stocks collapsed without reason. Some shares fell to pennies, while others jumped to numbers that made no sense whatsoever. One moment, the market functioned normally, traders going about their routines. The next, it was as if the foundation had been pulled out from under the entire financial system, leaving everyone scrambling to understand what was happening. How did this happen? To understand the crash, three pieces needed to come together. First, the modern markets, no longer controlled only by humans, but by machines, executing trades at speeds no person could match. Second, a sequence of orders that triggered the collapse, setting off a chain reaction no one anticipated. And third, a single trader working from a bedroom thousands of miles away, making decisions that would alter everything without knowing the consequences. Every action mattered that day. But what followed, no one predicted. For decades, stock exchanges existed as physical places. Brokers shouted orders across crowded floors. Traders watched tickers move in real time. And liquidity came from humans and specialist firms who knew the market. Everything operated with a certain predictability, a rhythm that traders understood and trusted. Then things changed. Computers became faster, and firms developed algorithms capable of trading far quicker than any human could process. High-frequency systems began scanning multiple venues simultaneously, breaking orders into fragments and executing trades in microseconds. Speed transformed into power, and every microsecond of delay cost money. But that speed introduced new risks. When machines responded to the same signals at the same time, they amplified market movements instead of absorbing them. A calm market could turn into a synchronized system where algorithms followed identical patterns, reacting to each other in an endless loop. Some systems didn't even hold positions. They placed and canceled orders continuously, creating artificial signals of demand or supply that looked real but weren't. That illusion could spread through the markets in seconds, turning stability into chaos before anyone realized what was happening. May 6, 2010 became a day that would be studied for years to come. Tension had been building throughout the morning as troubling news from Europe pushed volatility higher. Traders sat on edge, watching the fear index climb steadily. The atmosphere on trading floors felt different, heavier than usual. Then, at 2:32 p.m., everything changed. A mutual fund initiated a sale of an enormous block of E-mini S&P 500 futures contracts, tens of thousands of contracts directly tied to the U.S. stock market. Under normal circumstances, an order of this magnitude would be carefully distributed across hours, maybe even days, to avoid disrupting the market. But this order was handled by an algorithm programmed to sell based on a fixed percentage of trading volume per minute, regardless of price or market conditions. As trading volume surged, amplified by other high-speed algorithms reacting to the movement, the program continued dumping contracts relentlessly into the market. What should have taken hours compressed into minutes. Machines responded immediately, their arbitrage systems linking futures prices to stock prices in real time. When the futures market cracked under the pressure, stock prices followed in lockstep. Within minutes, hundreds of companies experienced wild price swings that defied reason. Some trades executed at fractions of a cent, while others spiked to numbers that shouldn't have been possible. Companies worth tens of billions briefly traded for pocket change, while others were suddenly valued higher than entire national economies. The market had become a panicked crowd rushing toward the same exit. Liquidity that had seemed endless vanished in seconds because most of the trading volume had been artificial machines trading with other machines. When real selling pressure arrived, there weren't enough buyers left to absorb it. In that moment, the world witnessed the fragile infrastructure of modern markets exposed completely. Into that chaos stepped an unexpected player. Thousands of miles from Wall Street, a man in his late 20s sat alone in a modest house outside London, eyes fixed on the screens in front of him. He wasn't part of any major financial institution or hedge fund, just a lone trader working with software he had written himself. He believed the markets followed patterns that could be read and even influenced if you understood how they moved. And on that day, he put his theory to the test. His method was simple in concept, but dangerous in execution. He flooded the market with small, fake orders, phantom bids that appeared legitimate, but were never intended to be filled. The illusion created movement as other traders and algorithms reacted to what seemed like genuine demand, causing prices to shift in predictable ways. In those brief moments when the market responded, he executed real trades at advantageous prices before canceling the fake orders that had created the opportunity. It was called spoofing, illegal, deceptive, and nearly impossible to detect in real time. On a day already saturated with chaotic trading activity, his manipulations blended seamlessly into the storm, unfolding across global markets. Was he solely responsible for the crash? No. The day was already volatile, the market fragile and unpredictable from the start. But his actions added force to an already dangerous situation. On days when the market showed weakness, his large spoofing orders accelerated the decline. His trades weren't just background activity. At certain moments, they represented a significant portion of the market's trading volume. When the mutual fund's massive sell algorithm entered a market already filled with high-speed trading systems and false signals, the conditions aligned perfectly for disaster. Machines interpreted the fake orders as genuine market sentiment. Liquidity dried up as real buyers pulled back, and prices began their spiral downward. What happened wasn't the result of a single person's actions. It was a convergence of multiple forces operating simultaneously. A massive automated sell program executing without regard for market conditions. A network of high-frequency algorithms reacting to misleading signals. And one trader who understood exactly where to apply pressure to move prices in his favor. Together, these elements created the perfect storm, an unintentional collision of speed, automation, and manipulation. That alignment produced the flash crash. When the chaos subsided, investigators began reconstructing what had happened frame by frame. Exchanges and regulators analyzed the data in exhaustive detail. Every order, every timestamp, every line of code, examining the sequence microsecond by microsecond. They discovered the full picture. The 75,000 contract sell order that had overwhelmed the system. The flood of fake bids and rapid cancellations. And the chain reaction that transmitted the shock from futures markets directly into stocks. The market had frozen, struggled to find footing, and recovered to nearly where it had started. But the panic left lasting damage. In the aftermath, regulations tightened significantly. Circuit breakers were implemented to halt trading automatically when prices dropped too quickly, giving the market time to stabilize. Exchanges established stronger requirements for maintaining liquidity during volatile periods. Spoofing was explicitly defined and criminalized, closing the loophole that had allowed such manipulation to exist in a legal gray area. For traders and firms, the message couldn't have been clearer. The rules of the game had fundamentally changed. Speed without proper safeguards was no longer considered innovative. It was recognized as a systemic risk. The flash crash had exposed just how vulnerable even the world's most sophisticated financial market could be. Found the man behind the code, the ghost operating within the system. His trail, once hidden among billions of data points, gradually came into focus. Investigators traced digital footprints across continents, analyzing patterns, tracking IP addresses, and identifying algorithmic signatures that matched his trading activity like fingerprints at a crime scene. Fake orders aligned with real trades executed moments later. Profits followed a clear path that revealed the manipulation. Transaction by transaction, the pattern became undeniable. Slowly, the evidence accumulated. Multiple agencies coordinated their investigation, building a case that connected his algorithms directly to the chaos of that day and countless other instances of market manipulation. He was arrested, extradited from the UK to the United States, and charged with wire fraud, commodities fraud, and market manipulation on a massive scale. The charges sent a clear message to every trader watching. This wasn't clever strategy or innovative technology. It was deliberate deception, a crime that had undermined the integrity of modern financial markets. The legal battle that followed proved far from straightforward. Prosecutors argued that spoofing wasn't a victimless technical violation. It distorted prices and harmed legitimate investors who relied on the market's integrity. The fake orders created artificial liquidity that didn't exist, they contended, which constituted fraud in digital form. The defense pushed back with a different narrative. Markets operate in chaos. Algorithms obscure human intent, and proving criminal responsibility for trades executed in milliseconds presents nearly impossible challenges. They questioned whether their clients' actions could be distinguished from legitimate trading strategies in an environment where everyone used sophisticated software. The court grappled with a fundamental question that had never been tested at this scale. Where does aggressive trading end and criminal fraud begin? Regardless of how the case resolved, one thing became certain. Regulators had demonstrated they would pursue the algorithms themselves, analyze the patterns hidden in trading data, and hold accountable those who operated in the shadows of the financial system. The story didn't end with an arrest. It sent shockwaves through the entire financial system. New regulations emerged in response. Exchanges upgraded their surveillance capabilities to detect suspicious patterns in real time. Firms implemented stricter internal controls, monitoring their own traders and algorithms with unprecedented scrutiny. The microsecond advantages that had defined high-frequency trading began to disappear as exchanges closed the loopholes that made manipulation possible. Kill switches and trading throttles became standard features, designed as safeguards to prevent machines from spiraling out of control during volatile moments. The flash crash taught the financial world one unforgiving lesson. Speed without proper controls creates systemic fragility. A single technical glitch, a poorly designed algorithm, a massive order handled incorrectly. Any of these could trigger consequences that extended far beyond Wall Street trading floors. Pension funds held by ordinary workers, retirement savings built over decades, the financial security of millions of people, all of it remained vulnerable to the decisions made by machines operating at speeds humans couldn't comprehend. For the lone trader, the reckoning was severe. A brilliant mind had collided with a system desperately trying to regulate digital age risks. What had once generated millions in profits now served as evidence against him. His code became the confession, his trading strategy reclassified as criminal activity. His story proved something that many had doubted. In interconnected global markets, no amount of distance could shield someone from the consequences of their actions. In the years that followed, the financial world adjusted how it operated. Algorithm designers incorporated safety mechanisms into their systems from the start. Regulators clearly defined spoofing in legal terms and strengthened enforcement capabilities across jurisdictions. The flash crash left the industry with a sobering realization: speed without stability creates vulnerability, not strength. Markets needed to function reliably for both human traders and automated systems. Innovation required guardrails, and technological progress demanded protective measures built into the foundation. The path to easy profits had become significantly more complicated. The machines still execute trades. The algorithms still process data continuously. But the environment has changed. There's greater oversight. Circuit breakers activate more quickly. And the tolerance for reckless behavior has essentially disappeared. Everyone in the industry remembers what happened. A single poorly timed order, one line of manipulative code, and the entire system's credibility can be compromised in seconds. If you're still watching, stay with us. What comes next raises questions about the nature of markets themselves, questions most people haven't considered. But first, there's something else you need to understand. So, what did the flash crash teach us? First, complexity requires caution. When thousands of algorithms interact simultaneously, chaos isn't just possible, it becomes inevitable without proper safeguards. Second, transparency ensures stability. When markets obscure how liquidity actually forms and where it comes from, illusion replaces reality, and trust erodes. Third, regulation and technology must advance together. Static rules written for an earlier era cannot effectively govern systems that evolve continuously. And finally, the human element never disappears. This wasn't purely a story about software failures. It was about decisions made by people. A trader exploiting weaknesses in the system. A fund deploying an algorithm without adequate controls. Exchanges prioritizing speed over security. Each individual decision seemed minor in isolation. Combined, they created the conditions that triggered the flash crash. Proof that even in markets dominated by machines, it's still human judgment that determines whether the system functions or fails. Markets are mirrors. They reflect our ingenuity, our ambition, and our mistakes. The flash crash wasn't just a failure. It was a warning that when speed outruns reason, everyone pays the price. So think of it if the next crash isn't caused by greed, but by a line of code no one understands. Who do we blame? If stories like this interest you, subscribe and stay curious. There's always more beneath the headlines.